Welcome to the Morning Slice. Hey guys, this is your host, Brianna McInerny, and today I'm here with the very first solo episode of the podcast. I've been dragging my heels around recording some solo episodes for you. My intention for these is to, give you some inspiration, some strategies and tactics to try out, some questions to consider. Always, just wanting to help you live a life that is completely fulfilling, professionally and personally, that, you never need to sacrifice your health and the things that you love for the work that you love. That's my goal here. And I think another episode for another day will be about what's taking so long. Not only what's taking me so long with this podcast, but some things to consider when you feel like you're working towards something that's just taking forever. But today, what I would really like to talk to you about is a question to consider. Are you contributing to the problems in your life, or are you contributing to the solutions? Not only in your life, but in the world at large. Are you contributing to the problems that you're noticing, or are you contributing to the solutions for those problems? Because we really need people to be focused on the solutions, right? But it can be a little bit tricky. It's easy to get distracted and get caught up in the day-to-day of the problems that we see. It's easy to get caught up complaining about what we see that it isn't working, or the things that we see that rub us the wrong way or make us feel other than good, It's really easy to get lost in the problem side of things. And today, hopefully I can help us lean towards and look towards a future with solutions. But what really inspired this podcast today is a little Facebook war that I decided to enter into this morning. Have you been there, where you see something posted that you don't necessarily agree with, and you just can't help yourself but chime in? That's what happened to me last night. I saw somebody post, it was like a meme that has gone around. I've seen it before, that talks about the privileges of being on public assistance. Things like wearing $200 shoes when you don't have a job is privilege. Things like, having as many kids as you want so that you can receive free childcare is privilege. I don't know, I'm misquoting, and I don't honestly want to even attach the meme because I don't necessarily want to spread the stereotype that it seems to me is the point of that meme. It's painting an image of what reminds me of the welfare queen. And I'm pretty sure, I might be misspeaking here, but I think the welfare queen was a Nixon thing. I'll see if I can link to some kind of information about that in the show notes. But essentially, it was a racially motivated stereotype that kind of demonized Black women on welfare. And again, if you're listening to this and you feel like I'm misspeaking, put it in the comments of the show. We have the videos over on YouTube. I would love to hear from you. I really want this to be a discussion. All the good stuff happens in discussion, right? But anyway, back to the story. Part of why I just could not resist responding and commenting on this particular occasion is that it was shared by an officer of the law, somebody who I've known for a very, very long time, and somebody who I have intentionally tried to keep a respectful relationship with, because quite frankly, especially in the area where I live in upstate New York, people do respect law enforcement officers for the most part. I know a lot of people who support Blue Lives Matter and, really look up to the police, and do with that what you will. But when it comes to this specific individual, I know that their heart is good. I know that their intentions are good. I know that they care about helping people. So that's part of why I engage with them on these issues. And, we've talked about this in interviews and maybe in other places. I'll talk about why I feel like it's important to have those conversations instead of just, I could like unfollow, right? I could just unfollow, I could ignore. But for me, it feels like if I feel able to have these conversations in a respectful and open way, then that might contribute to the solution, right? That might contribute to a bridge where we can get together on the same page. People on both sides of an issue with good hearts can actually focus on solutions. And for me, spreading a message like that about people on public assistance is really contributing to the problem, right? There are lots of people who follow this person and who see that and reinforce sometimes really misguided, unfounded perceptions of people on public assistance. And part of my background is that I've worked with people who are on public assistance extensively. My clients, when I was in healthcare, most of them, if not all of them, received some sort of public assistance. And it just hurts my heart to see a stereotype passed around that makes it out to be like these people are just, sucking every last dime out of the government and like, oh, poor us taxpayers, oh, poor the government. When like there are people profiting off of the poverty of these individuals. The way the system is set up, it is not geared to help them rise out of the system. I witnessed on multiple occasions people who tried to maintain jobs on public assistance here in New York State that were not able to continue because once they started receiving income from a job, they lost other benefits like housing and, maybe income, maybe food stamps, but things that were helping them to survive. When they got a job, all of a sudden the foundation was taken out from under them, so they had to start right back at one, right? And to know that there are people who abuse the system. I mean, absolutely. There are people who abuse the system, and I was saddened to witness that there are definitely people who grow up in the system thinking that like that is the way to survive. It's generational at this point, especially in New York State. I absolutely saw that. But why are we blaming the people who are struggling? Why are we blaming the people who are barely getting by? Isn't that just contributing to the problem? Isn't that just contributing to the separation? Isn't that pointless? Heartless? I think that we really need to look at that as a society. And again, I don't want to harp too much on the problems, right? I don't want to harp too much on that, but I do want to say why it's so important to me to engage is because I know that judging people will not change the situation. It will only widen the gap. But what might change those people is believing in them. What might change them, what might help them, is being willing to give them a second look, being willing to give them some respect and give them the benefit of the doubt and understand that they do want to stand on their own 2 feet 9 out of 10 times. And you know what else might be a solution? Actually pointing a finger at the people who are profiting off of these people instead of standing up on and shoving faces down into the dirt of people who are already struggling to get by. You know? So when I see somebody like an officer of the law spreading misinformation about people on public assistance that, you know, they're here to serve, right? Presumably. We could have a whole conversation about that for another day, I guess. But these people are in contact with the public every day, and what a difference might it make? What a solution might it be if those officers were coming into a place like a DSS motel where people on public assistance are housed temporarily? You know, if they came in and genuinely looked at people in the eye and believed in what they were capable of and helped to connect them to that, instead of spreading the same distance, keeping them in a one down, judging their decisions, judging how they spend their money, judging what they receive, you know, based on what. And I get it. Honestly, when I worked in healthcare, I think it was harder for me to take this stance, to be non-judgmental. And, you know, that being said, my clients always appreciated me bringing non-judgment to the table. That's always been something that people notice about me. But I know myself internally that I did judge. I did judge when my clients had cigarettes, but they didn't have money for other important things. I did judge when a client only wanted me for the bus card that I was able to give them. That it in part, why did I judge? I judged because it hurt to see, I think. I didn't understand. I had never lived in their shoes, right? I have judged those people. But with a little bit of distance and a little bit of self-reflection and a little bit of knowledge, I understand more now. And I hope that, and you know, I'll understand more later. There's always more room to grow. And maybe that's another thing that could contribute to solutions, is being more open to learning about these things, being open to seeing the reality of a situation, and recognizing that any judgments that we're making are typically the very tip of the iceberg. Let me tell you what, like, people are weird and wonderful, but very weird, and life is weird, and situations come up that make absolutely no sense. Like, you just can't make up the stuff that happens in life and some of these stories that I've heard from people. But like, what if we just always approached people like that when we knew our judgments weren't the real about them? You know, when we receive a judgment in our brain and our mind, and we think, oh, like, that's interesting, and now I know that's probably not at all what's happening here, you know? What if we looked at that as an inclination to dig deeper, or as an indication, excuse me. So tying all of this back into something that you can use, I really want you to pay attention to what you're focusing on and what you're spreading in your life. Are you contributing to the problems? Are you contributing to the isolation, the misunderstanding, the judgments, the complaining, the distances between people? Are you contributing to hurting other people? Or are you recognizing that happens and using it as an indication to redirect yourself to the solution for the problems that you're noticing? Are you really willing to open up, get curious, and dig down into the core of the issues that you're noticing, rather than just brushing them off with your knee-jerk reactions and first glance, first impression judgments? I think that's all I have for you today. I do want to keep these solo episodes pretty short, around 15 to 20 minutes. So yay me, I'm not always the best at timekeeping. I am definitely someone who will keep you 3 hours for a coffee if you will let me. That being said, I think that's all I've got for you today. I would love to hear any comments, questions, information that you have or want to contribute. Was this helpful for you? Let me know. I would love to hear about it. And as with any episode of this podcast, it's really just my opinions I'm offering to try to help. Nothing specific to your situation, but if you do want my eyes on your problems, it's what I love to do most, to help you dig down to the core of what's going on so you can, defend what's important, so you can prioritize what's important, so that you can experience all the things that you really want in your life, like success with your professional endeavors and the work that you really care about, your social impact, but also keeping your relationships healthy, also keeping your body healthy, and doing what you need to do for yourself. So if you want to connect with me that way, I would love to chat with you. I will put a link in the show notes where you can book a call with me or just go check out my website, whatever you want to do. And I hope you will stay tuned. Please follow along here wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. And I will talk to you again very soon. Thanks for listening.